At the end of this will come a challenge to our most obsessed and, I think, despicable critics. I do want to say that we are not inherently against critics. We like critics. In fact, you have asked for better skeptics. We have had better skeptics arrive on our doorstep, for which we are very grateful. I also wanted to show, I don't know who generated this. Hey, Zach, do you want to put up that meme that showed up this week? Or at least I saw it for the first time this week. Somebody, they landed a punch. Here we go. Okay. Somebody,
I don't get it,
has decided that I look like a schnauzer. And I don't think they're way off. I think they've
So for those just listening at home, this is new to me. Brett Schnauzstein, I don't even know how you pronounce it, with you in a still from, I guess, our last
live stream.
two live streams ago, maybe.
Yeah.
With a schnauzer.
With a schnauzer in front of me.
In front of you. I really don't.
The facial hair, I think, is reminiscent in some ways. Okay. But all right. Nonetheless, I thought it was clever. I don't know who generated it, and it could be one of our despicable critics, or it could be somebody else who just decided to come up with a meme. But anyway, I got a chuckle out of it, so appreciate it. But we have some critics that I don't really appreciate because they don't seem to be capable of anything other than tearing down value generated by others. And anyway, we'll get back to them in a second. I had an experience last night that resulted in an innovation.
Okay.
And the experience, as you know, you were very much there for the beginning of the story. As we closed down, so we have an issue in our house where, in order to make the pet thing work, where the dog is out and protects the cats from coyotes, and the cats have a way to get back in the house quickly if something were to show up, we end up leaving doors open, which is bad because insects come in, and we're biologists, we tolerate it better than most, but it's still annoying.
Yep.
And last night, as we turned off lights around the house to go to bed, so the house is growing increasingly dark, that meant that the last light in the house attracted all of the 5 flies that had gotten into the house during the day.
Right.
So they were in the bathroom. And as you, having brushed your teeth, left, you grumbled about the 5 flies that were quite annoying. It's, 5 flies is a lot for one small room. So anyway, I walked into
the welcome to the bathroom, Brett. I'm leaving now.
Yeah, exactly. It's you can have it, you and the 5 flies. So anyway, I brushed my teeth and I noticed the flies too, and was thinking what to do about them, but I was left without good tools, right? And so at one point, several flies landed on the large bathroom mirror on the wall, and I thought, oh wait, I know, I need a cup and I need a piece of paper, and I'll put the cup over the fly and I'll slide the piece of paper in behind it. And so I grabbed a glass. It was actually a duplicate of this here glass, and now you can imagine the predicament, which is that I've got a large plate glass mirror, and I'm going to go take this other piece of glass and try not to break either one of them while I'm getting the fly. But I did it. Okay, I put the glass on the mirror, and the fly was trapped, and I slid the paper in there, and I was feeling pretty good. And I took the glass and I walked over to the toilet, and I thrust it down and I pulled the paper off, so the fly flung right into the toilet water and sat there helplessly on the surface, fluttering its wings and not succeeding. And I thought,
this is going to be the thing we get grief of. just smash the fly.
And I thought, well, but no, smash the fly is terrible. For one thing, A,
I don't
it ain't that easy.
I know.
B, it's going to leave a big splattered fly at best on the mirror, which is then going to need
cleaning.
It's not good.
Fly guts.
Right. And you're more likely to get the fly. It's going to land on your wall, and then you're going to smash it, and then you're going to have this bloody stain there until you paint over it. And so anyway, I flung the fly down into the toilet. He landed in the water. I felt so good. And then a moment later, he flew out. Okay. And I thought, well.
And now he's covered in toilet water.
Right. Exactly. And so what was my next thought? My next thought was, okay, that did not, it's like a prototype of a plan, but it's not a good one.
No, really not.
Okay. Now I'm thinking, okay, well,
Great. So you've got 5 flies flying around, one of which is covered in toilet water. You don't know which one that is.
Right.
They're touching all sorts of stuff.
But of course, now I'm thinking, I'm thinking like me. And I have been a fan of isopropyl alcohol since long before this COVID thing, because isopropyl alcohol, hey, Zach, you want to put up a diagram of the molecule of isopropyl alcohol? So isopropyl alcohol is marvelous, marvelous stuff. And here it is. And
I'm actually much more impressed with the actual stuff than I am with this diagram.
Well, me too, but I just wanted to point out this is what it looks like. And
simple.
What makes it an alcohol, you can see, for those of you just listening, you've got a molecule here with 3 carbons in a chain. The 2 end carbons have their 3 free electrons that are not joining them to the other carbon occupied by a hydrogen. And then the middle carbon has 1 hydrogen, and then it has an OH group, a oxygen and a hydrogen sticking off. And what makes something an alcohol is an OH group sticking off a carbon that has all of its electrons occupied in a covalent bond.
Awesome description.
Okay, thank you. So, all that time in organic chemistry was not entirely wasted. Much of it was, but not all of it.
Yep.
All right, so isopropyl alcohol, you can now go back to whatever, to us, to the Schnauzer and Dr. Heather Hying. All right, so isopropyl alcohol is great stuff, and it's great for various reasons. One, I had trouble ascertaining this. I had trouble finding the evidence for this in my brief survey this morning, but I believe it's a molecule that is produced in nature with some regularity, which means that it's a molecule we are likely to have encountered for millions of years, therefore have a good apparatus for detoxifying it. Empirically speaking, it is certainly true that although it is somewhat toxic, it is very slightly toxic compared to all sorts of other things that you can use it as a substitute for. Ethanol would be better. Ethanol, we have a very direct history with detoxifying. It's better stuff. But isopropyl alcohol, you can't really get ethyl alcohol in a pure form. It either comes in an expensive drink form, or if you get it in a concentrated industrial form, it has a bitterant added to it to keep people from abusing it. So isopropyl alcohol, you can get it. It's cheap. Works for all kinds of things. If you don't want to spend,
it's disinfecting, it's antiseptic.
Yeah,
it clean. You can clean with it.
It's a wonderful solvent.
It's a solvent, exactly.
Great for windows because it has a high vapor pressure, so it doesn't leave streaks. It evaporates very rapidly off the windows.
You can get rid of at least small amounts of frost because it's an alcohol, so it
lowers
changes
the freezing point of water, taking a frozen water and turning it back into a liquid water. So you can open a lock. You can do all kinds of good things with it. I learned something today. There's been a mystery for me about alcohols forever. The mystery is I think they're non-polar, right? And yet you can make a drink that's based of water. Why doesn't it separate like salad dressing? And there's a term for what it does. It's not actually dissolving in water. It is, I've now forgotten the term. There's another term which I will come up with.
All that time spent in organic chemistry was not as useful as you thought.
No, it was not. It failed to answer this question.
This may be an inorganic chem issue, actually.
But in any case, an alcohol, especially isopropyl alcohol, will also, because it's nonpolar, will dissolve grease, right? Yes. So if you spray water or something water-based on a grease, it will have little effect. If you
can homogenize the film over a larger area.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
As everyone who has tried to clean up, like the back of behind their stove with water has experienced.
Right.
But soap works, but then you have to deal with the soap. But alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, works brilliantly.
It works brilliantly, and it can save you so much money, right? We used to have tons of this stuff lying around, and when COVID hit and it suddenly became scarce, we were at the end of our supply, and we were stuck with everybody else trying to find it. We got like wintergreen flavored isopropyl alcohol that had been sitting in the bottom of a warehouse for who knows how long. But anyway, here's a tip. Instead of spending more than you would spend for gasoline to buy a gallon of windshield wiper fluid, get a thing of 70% isopropyl alcohol and add a bit of it into the water in your reservoir, and it will both increase the use of the water in cleaning your windshield and vastly decrease the quantity you spend to make that stuff.
And again, it works as an antifreeze.
Yes, exactly. It works as an antifreeze. It drops the freezing point of water well below, if you put enough of it in, well below the meaningful one, so you can change it for summer and winter as appropriate and save even more money in the summer. But anyway, I digress. Here I was, having lost to this fly. I came up with a good idea, and it almost worked, and now I've got a toilet water covered fly flying around, and because I'm now in the mindset of like, ooh, toilet water covered fly, terrible. I'm thinking isopropyl alcohol, which of course I have a spray bottle right there.
Let's at least clean the fly.
Let us launder the fly. So anyway, I grabbed.
No one can tell where that fly came from.
Right. Right. Take your fingerprints off it. So I grabbed the isopropyl alcohol, and then I realized, wait a minute.
So we've got spray bottles of isopropyl in our bathrooms because it's a great cleanser.
It's a great cleanser. If a cat were to, for example, hork on your carpet, then you could saturate the carpet.
Not our cats.
No, but if somebody else's cat was to break in, hork up a bunch of grass on the carpet, right? Then you could saturate the carpet with the isopropyl alcohol, and then you take the steam cleaner, and you don't need the steam part of that. You just suck the stuff out of your carpet with the steam cleaner, and it pulls all the stuff, all the hork that may have seeped into the carpet right out. Anyway, it's great stuff.
It's a really unusual DarkHorse today.
It is a little unusual, but useful. This is going to be crucial to my point. This is news you can use. You need a steam cleaner, a whole bunch of isopropyl alcohol.
But you are a master of the steam cleaner.
And the isopropyl alcohol, as you are about. I'm
also a master with the isopropyl.
I'm going ninja level though on the isopropyl.
Okay. So you got this toilet water covered fly, and you got a spray bottle
disguised in a crowd of flies.
In a crowd of flies,
right?
You've got a spray bottle, a high quality spray bottle full of isopropyl.
No, it's after midnight. It's our lowest quality spray bottle, but good enough.
It's after midnight.
It's after midnight. I've got a grudge now, right? I've been bested by this fly once, and it's not going to happen again. Okay, so here's the thing. These flies now, my first thought was, now you take the cup, you put it on the mirror, you get the fly, and then you spray isopropyl alcohol in on the fly, right? And then you put them in the damn toilet and see if it can fly out.
With the cup?
Not for long.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I go after it with the glass, which I have
the glass on glass.
I have to not break the mirror. I have to not break the glass.
Yeah, I noticed that the mirror was not broken this morning.
It was not broken. Thank you. But okay, now the fly. I don't know if this is my imagination or just bad luck, but now the fly seems skittish about the cup. I can't get anywhere near it. All right, my initial success.
Do you think it's the same fly or not? You don't know.
I think the flies now know they're being chased. That my activity with the flies has now put them. I
want to know what your long-term plan. I mean, I know you're getting there, but like seriously, now you're going to try to douse all the flies with isopropyl, and you can't tell them apart because it's not like you put leg bands on them or something. You can't tell the flies apart. How long do you do this before you figure, like, if you're actually successful in what you're now talking about, how many times do you have to catch flies before you figure, okay, I've caught 87 flies and there's only 5 of them. What are the chances that it's only 4 of those 5 flies? Right.
Like,
how do you do the analysis on this?
I don't need it anymore because I'm now ninja level, right? Okay. Now I should point out I'm the second ninja level anti-fly guy in our family.
Oh my God, Toby is amazing.
And Toby's trick is rubber bands, which he can hit flies across at a great distance, and he's very accurate. He like if you say, "Hey Toby, there are flies in this room," he'll get them. However,
and he cleans them up. He cleans up the corpses.
Mostly. The problem is if you have high ceilings, you end up with rubber bands and fly guts distributed various places.
Yeah, if there's high ceilings with like
a fan
ledges.
Or any place it can stick. So
that's right.
Nonetheless, he is ninja level with respect to dealing with the flies. He's not ninja level with respect to leaving a clean battlefield, right? Okay, so
Y chromosome types.
Back to my predicament last night. I'm now armed with the isopropyl. I'm armed with a glass. And it occurs to me, I have never thought to spray the flies directly.
With isopropyl?
Yes. Okay.
They never needed laundering before.
Well, here's the thing.
They just needed killing.
One of them landed right before me. And I spritzed it. I didn't have to get that close. I had it on mist. In a second.
Oh God!
So I sprayed the fly.
You took video. How did you take video?
I didn't. Okay. I did that this morning. I wanted to demonstrate this so the audience would believe me.
Okay.
I sprayed the fly on the mirror. I didn't need to get close enough. I didn't have to alert him that I was coming. I just misted him.
Yeah.
Fell to the counter right there. Grabbed him. Threw him in the toilet. Next fly lands. Right. It took me about 3 minutes, 4 minutes to be done with all the flies.
And now the mirror's clean as well.
The mirror, exactly. You spray this in the mirror, you barely need to come back at it with anything because of the high vapor pressure. See the earlier part of the conversation.
This reminds me a little bit of your innovation of man dusting.
Yes. Oh, that's another good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like for sure you and I are right that like on average men don't really dust.
No, they
don't
do
like
not.
to.
They generate dust.
Oh boy, and some people have particular responses to dust. That
Right.
Many
react
women
to
have an
dust.
aesthetic reaction, like, oh god, it's dusty. I don't want to look at that. But you, for instance, have a reaction to inhaling it more than I do. Say, but
Yep.
I have the aesthetic reaction, like, God, I just don't want to look at the dust. You can go months without noticing the dust and not seeing it. But arm you with a leaf blower.
A leaf blower. And here's the thing, kids. If you're going to do this inside your house, you need an electric leaf blower. I would recommend getting an electric.
You haven't actually done this inside the house.
Only on special occasions.
But you have done it to actually clear out the garage.
The garage, the outbuilding, places where dust accumulates. Yeah, there are certain surgical circumstances where there's something you can't reach in the house. But anyway, you don't do this in the house with a gas-powered blower. But you also don't really... Electric leaf blower has one little disadvantage. It's slightly less powerful, but it has so many advantages. It's not loud when you're not using it. It doesn't idle, right? It's
great.
It's a marvelous
It's actually a wonderful tool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's much, much quieter.
So man dusting goes into the same category as, it's not killing two flies with one stone. It's like accomplishing two distinct, I don't have the right aphorism.
Stoning 2 or more flies and then...
Well, but you also end up with a
them.
clean mirror. That's my point. It's
Right.
like you end up sort of inadvertently cleaning something
Right.
that you wouldn't have thought to do.
No, but I'm pretty sure they go out stoned. That's what I saw.
Yeah, yes. I mean, having the flies die a gentle and perhaps even gleeful
Intoxicated
death. Cool. Yeah, why not?
Hey, Zach, you want to show this video so people can see what I'm talking about? It was hard to capture because I have the isopropyl in one hand and the video. See that? Okay.
It was the hand
Right.
of I don't know. I don't know if the fly thought you were God or Satan, but
I was effectively God to that fly, but and not a benevolent God. This was a Yahweh style.
taking that fly to its permanent home, and apparently the toilet.
exactly.
Is that where you were putting them?
Yes.
I see.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't know if they recover. I didn't run that experiment.
So you didn't want to just put them in the trash can and then
have them
open the
reemerge.
cabinet at some point and have a crew of flies fly out.
That would have made for a good story, but no, I didn't want that to happen.
Yes.
Okay, so can we get back to my critics and our critics? Well, first of all, there's two tie-ins here. There's two tie-ins.
Neither of us has begun drinking yet, right?
Not even a little.
Okay,
not
just
even a
making
little.
sure.
I mean,
this
I
is
have
totally
been
sober.
inhaling a certain amount of isopropyl alcohol since last night. But
Apparently, yes.
all right. Remember earlier when we were in the Bahamas?
Oh, I do. In April.
Do you remember that beautiful beach where it was reported to us by our lovely hosts that there was a pair of tropic birds nesting, that they had been on the beach and the tropic birds had made some attempt to get rid of them?
Yeah.
Well, that beach was very beautiful, and the idea of seeing tropic birds up close near their nest was so tantalizing that I really wanted to go to that beach. And at some point, I cobbled together the necessary materials, including, the tender boat and you and Toby, and we set off to go to that beach. Remember what happened next?
No.
Got to the beach, nice beach, went looking for the tropic birds, and didn't find the tropic birds, but the biting flies came after us, right? That's like our critics, right? They're like biting flies, right? They're of no consequence, but they're very, very annoying, okay? Now,
they don't vector anything. It seems the actual biting flies.
They're not
the
up
critics
to
may
it.
vector things.
Yeah.
But the biting flies, as far as we know, there are biting flies, of course, in the world that do vector things like tsetse flies and such. But the biting flies on the Bahamian beaches, as far as you know, don't vector anything. But they take a chunk out of you and they leave a welt, and it's not pleasant.
It's enough to
but
destroy.
you don't end up with. You could, I guess, get an infection that festers, etc. But you're not going to get a disease from this. But it's really unpleasant.
Yes, they're an ankle biting annoyance. Anyway, that is how I feel about not all of our critics, right? Some of our critics I appreciate, but the critics who just basically that's what they do, where their whole purpose is to tear down stuff that other people do without actually contributing anything to the world.
Yeah.
And so my point about the isopropyl alcohol is that, yes, it's funny, but tremendously useful. If you've ever been plagued by flies that you couldn't get out of a room, you now, for the price, and I would recommend you get the high quality Zep, Zep spray
Not a
bottle.
sponsor.
Not a sponsor yet. They may be when they see this. You want the high quality Zep, the yellow and blue bottle.
Mm-hmm.
You want 70% isopropyl alcohol. You'll find lots of other uses for it. But now you can eliminate any fly that lands near enough for you to get to it, right? That's tremendously useful. And what I want to know is if any of the people who have become obsessed with us have ever come up with anything that useful. And I want to hear what it is. I want to know if they have contributed anything to humanity as useful as isopropyl alcohol versus a fly. Okay? And I don't think probably sum total, if you took their contributions to humanity, the sum total of them could come up with anything that useful.
I suspect you're right, and I welcome the challenge being leashed on the world.
Yeah. All right. Hell yeah. All right. And I don't know, some small amount of guilt about the flies, but they had to go.
Yeah. They did. They had to go. They weren't invited. We weren't going to go after them outside, were we?
Right.
The flies.
I could steel man their position. And,
the flies?
Yeah. I mean, we did open the door. How were they to know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How were they to know? Indeed.
How were they to know? But they had, they had to go.
They did have to go.
Yeah.
Steel manning the position of the flies that came to the house. Okay.
All right.
That's where we are.
Isopropyl alcohol may be more toxic than I realize, but it's fun.
Someone in the chat just contributed that it was very possible to get drunk by him.
Really? Is it possible to be drunk this many hours later?
I can't imagine they're right. But.
Yeah, and I had none of it. I was not exposed, although I probably went to the bathroom in the middle of the night at some point. So maybe you left it really fumey in there. I don't know. Okay, I think we're good.
All right.
I think we're done. This has been a different episode of Dark Horse, and
Yes, it has.
I've had fun.